I guess to start with, could you give our readers a little bit of background about yourself and your various positions in government? I also understand that you're a biophysicist. Can you tell us a little bit about that and sort of your career before getting into politics?
Yes, very true. So my name is Mikuláš Peksa, and by original training, I studied physics, namely biophysics, at Charles University in Prague. But later on, I moved into the politics and was elected to the national parliament and subsequently to the European Parliament on behalf of Czech Pirate Party. And currently, I'm serving as a chairperson of the European Pirate Party. Pirate parties in general are very much liberal and strive for individual freedom and human rights, and that also brought me probably to this discussion regarding, let's say, how the cannabis shall be regulated in European context. Because we as pirates, we do share this overall plan to liberalize the existing policies. We have common European program that is clearly and loudly speaking in that direction. So I'm here to implement it.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the Pirate Party's position on cannabis? Obviously, you guys are kind of fundamental in what's going on in the country at the moment. Can you tell us a little bit more about your position on it and kind of how that's progressed over the last few years?
The Pirate Party in general is very much strives for data-driven approach to, let's say, all policies. So the policies regarding cannabis are no exception. We strive for scientific approach and approach which is based more on, let's say, harm reduction and human rights oriented solutions rather than the repression and criminalization as it was used to be in the past years. So that's where we stay. Of course, when we talk about the European context, the situation is quite complicated due to fragmentation, as the law is different among them, or differs among the member states. And of course, it is complicated because the European Union and its framework could be hampering the efforts of member states at some in some particular areas.
For our readers who might not be aware, are you able to give us a bit of an overview of the current regulations and attitudes towards cannabis in Czechia? I understand that it's probably one of the most progressive, if not the most progressive in Europe.
Czechia is one of the, let's say, most progressive because it is really decriminalized. However, as Pirate Party entered into the government, we started working to have really like a proper legalization in the Czech territory. Currently, there is a study prepared, which shall result into a draft proposal that will be approved by the government later this year. The general idea how to do that is to create a real and legal opportunity for both self-growth within the hemp association and also the production and sale of cannabis as a subject of licensed trade. We are not discussing the exact conditions because, of course, in all the countries, still the UN Convention on Drugs applies, which makes the situation really like complicated. And we should be able to actually find a legal solution that is compliant and allows for legalized use of cannabis in Czechia, also for recreational use.
So I definitely want to come back and dig into a little bit more detail about your proposals and kind of what's going on with adult use and your proposals for recreational. But can you give us a little bit more background as to why you think the country is so progressive on cannabis compared to a lot of its European neighbours? And what are some of the current barriers to access for, what is one of Europe's largest medical cannabis populations?
I may say that in general, despite, let's say, the country politics looks kind of weird, the Czech population is overall liberal. I mean, the people in Czechia do believe in individual freedom and do believe into individual responsibility. That's why, in general, culturally, we always approach that in, let's say, more relaxed way than it was common in other more restrictive or more conservative countries. That's why Czech law was generally more flexible in the direction, and use for owning of cannabis for personal use was not a problem. I may say never I would remember in my life. However, as said, we would like to go farther on, and also we would like to let's say lead by example for the other countries in Europe. I mean, like currently it is being discussed in besides Czechia, also in Luxembourg or Germany. Malta made their own law, so we are moving forward in that direction as more and more countries in Europe also besides that are moving as well. And that's why, let's say, we feel that in Czechia it's also time to do such a step and progress farther on, and to have the opportunity to stay really legal.
So for myself, certainly, and I think some other people that may have not been keeping an eye on the developments in Czechia and who may not be aware of the situation, in September last year, when the proposals were announced, it kind of, I think it took a lot of people by surprise, and it seemed to almost take the limelight away from Germany. And, it seemed like it all happened very fast and, made a lot of progress very quickly. Is this accurate, or is this something that had been in the works for a very long time behind the scenes?
Well, the process is simple in that sense. I mean, Pirate Party was very much interested in this topic since ever. It's one of our core values. So we were kind of prepared for entering into the government and working on this, or making it actually real. So what happened, and what was maybe surprising, that we entered to this conservative government and used that as a tool to promote legalization in Czechia. I may understand that people have not expected that, but we really put it as a crucial proposal during the negotiations of the government, and that's why our partners probably understood that this is quite important topic for us, and we do really want to make it happen as, let's say, one of the most important legacies of our participation in government in this election term. So that's how it happened. I mean, like, the policy of Pirate Party in this sense is, so to say, standard. I mean, like, we follow the same ideas in Germany, in Slovenia, in other countries. So naturally, Czechia was actually the let's say first country where we participated as a Pirate Party in the government. But all at all, this is kind of like shared ideas transnationally.
So your party put forward the kind of draft proposals for the bill that's happening in Czechia as kind of, I guess, guidelines for this draft legislation that is due over the coming months, I believe. Are you able to kind of walk us through the core principles of that? I know that it focuses largely on reform, regulation, and taxation. Those are the three pillars. Are you able to walk us through, in a bit more detail how this looks?
Yes. Well, the procedure to refer to that one is that we really issued a study to analyze the problem, what will be the costs, what will be the benefits and outcomes, and now actually based on this study, we are preparing the legislative proposal that shall go out. Technically, the idea is that it will be legalized but still regulated and taxed, of course, because we expect that the whole proposal shall save some 600 millions of Czech crowns for expenditures on law enforcement, and it brings some 1.8 billion Czech crowns to the budget on the taxes. I mean, like, just for comparison, Czech crown, 1 euro is roughly 24 Czech crowns under current circumstances. The idea is that cannabis and sale of the cannabis shall be still subject to the license, because we are still upholding the international convention on drugs. The sale shall be regulated in the sense that, for example, the municipalities shall still have the power to disallow such shops in their territory should they decide to do so. So still wherever people do not wish it, it will not be enforced, and we do expect to cap the amount that is supposed to be consumed or sold to a particular consumer to 100 grams per the user. Also, there is also an idea to cap the size of the companies that will be participating that, and keep it only not available for the minors. Regarding the tax that was mentioned, we operate with roughly 26 Czech crowns per gram, which is a little bit more than 1 euro. Plus, of course, like the VAT rate, and of course, we expect some registration fee for those self-growers and clubs that will offer that.
So I think one of the most interesting parts of the proposals that we've seen, I mean, obviously these are just proposals at the moment, but in comparison to Germany, which is probably the only kind of direct comparison we have at the moment, is calls for all users to be registered with the state. I wonder if you could kind of walk us through the reasons and thinking behind this.
This is actually the result of debate within the Czech governmental coalition, because, as you probably know, there is a coalition of pirates, as well as liberal party, together with conservative parties that are, let's say, counterparts of German CDU, which makes the debate absolutely interesting, I may say, or maybe someone would maybe say more complicated, because of course the visions are different, and the whole proposal is going to be subject of compromise between, let's say, the both sides. And in that sense, I may only admit that our conservative colleagues were not that happy about the idea of unrestricted sale. So that's why we have landed on this proposal of having the consumption capped, resulting into registering of the users. I mean, like, as a member of Pirate Party, I'm definitely not happy about such a compromise, and we will try to discuss it further on to actually find or check whether it wouldn't be possible to do it without the registration. But this is currently the way how we are able to proceed politically, and I believe it is better to legalize rather than to stay and do not use the opportunity.
And obviously, one of the key parts of this, and something Germany is in the throngs of trying to work out, is how to do this and remain in or overcome international legal obligations. What's your strategy for dealing with this hurdle?
Well, those questions are kind of interrelated, because as I follow the debate in Germany, an argument appeared, which is, from my point of view, very surprising, and I don't really understand this base, that somehow the legalization or the free movement of cannabis would be kind of contradicting the Schengen Agreement. I honestly do not believe so, and I honestly believe that it is important to prove that actually there is no connection or there is no violation of the European law, because especially concerning the current setup where Czechia and Germany are actually borders and bordering to each other and plan to legalize, I believe it is important to keep the trade connections open and to have, let's say, a shared market. I mean, generally, we are talking very much about single market in Europe for many products, and I'm honestly surprised that someone is promoting protectionism on the national level just for cannabis, because that absolutely makes no sense. But apparently, at least in Germany, those voices are present, which is surprising, because in Czechia, nobody really mentioned that.
That's really interesting. You mentioned that. I wonder how kind of interrelated you see Germany's project and Czechia's project being. Are you kind of learning from each other in terms of the hurdles and the issues that you have to overcome and what you can do? And how important is it for one that the other succeeds? Do you think if one fails, the other might, and vice versa?
It's very much so. I mean, like in the European Parliament, we kind of like took on for ourselves the responsibility for, let's say, coordinating this effort internationally. I was actually together with Cyrus Eniger from Malta, one responsible for setting up the legalize it working group among the members of the European Parliament, whose exact aim is to actually allow legalization of cannabis across Europe. So we use this platform to exchange information about legalization projects in particular countries, and of course to inform each other about the legal obstacles that stays in front of us. And as you mentioned, I mean, like it's very important, because should we lose the debate on the legal grounds, or like the compliance with the European law, then of course it would not affect only one single European country, but all of them. So we very much really strive for having properly prepared legal arguments on the European level.
And on that thread, should you succeed and bring adult use to fruition in 2024, what role do you see Czechia playing in wider Europe, and what impact do you hope this will have on cannabis legislation across the rest of the continent?
Yeah, I believe Czechia will be able to adopt the law through the time of 2023 or early 2024, and since that we will have clear case of one European country that has actually legalized and is trading cannabis products freely or in a regulated way. I think from that point of view, we really should consider the fact that the consumers in the European market, as well as the industry in the European market, shall not be discriminated. So from that point of view, I may consider that legitimate for, let's say, customers in the other countries to demand similar access in their own countries. So, and also I see there a reason for European administration to actually allow that and ensure that there will be like proper standard for consumer protection ensured. So from that point of view, I understand the Czech legalization project also as a, let's say, step into the direction to convince rest of Europe to create actually a legal framework for allowing legal sale and consumption of cannabis.
Fantastic. And I guess to wrap up, where are we in the process at the moment? I know that this first draft was due before the end of last year and is now, I believe, due for spring of this year. I wonder if there's any updates on the timeline and what the next steps are that we have to look forward to.
I stay in close contact with Janka Michailidou, who is actually the party representative responsible for delivering on the proposal, together also with National Drug Coordinator Jindřich Vobořil, and we would like to see it adopted in the early months of or like proposed to the government, let's say, in the early months of this year. Of course, we expect some discussion, but currently, as there is this let's say agreement between liberal and conservatives to have that law adopted by the government, I believe we will be able to resolve it. Of course, the debate in the parliament that shall happen later in this year will probably be very interesting, and I expect a lot of interesting opinions to be expressed there. But I hope we will be able to conclude it during the 2023, latest early 2024.